Zohan, an extraordinary Israeli counter-terrorist, is basking in the sun on one of the world's most stunning beaches. Surrounded by delicious food and beautiful women, his remarkable skills allow him to effortlessly win every challenge thrown his way, leaving everyone in awe. Regrettably, his tranquil vacation is cut short by the top brass of the Israel Defense Forces, who require his services for an upcoming mission. It appears that Phantom, the formidable leader of a Palestinian terrorist group, has been spotted at a hacky sack tournament in Beirut, likely a trap. Zohan is puzzled because he had captured his nemesis 3 months prior, but his superiors had traded him, and now he's back on the loose. Although Zohan is reluctant to accept this mission, the potential risk to innocent lives convinces him to step in and simplify matters. As he prepares for the mission, Zohan retrieves his most cherished possession from a secret spot in his room, an old hairstyling catalog, a symbol of his dream to become a stylist. Over dinner with his parents, he expresses his exhaustion from the constant conflict and his desire to leave it all behind for a peaceful life in the USA. His parents, however, are not supportive, believing a military career to be more stable, and they ridicule his dream of becoming a hairstylist, using a derogatory term for gay. That night, Zohan goes to sleep with a heavy heart. The following day, Zohan heads downtown, ready to spring into action. Thanks to his superhuman abilities, including the power to stop bullets with his nose, he easily takes down the lower-ranking soldiers. But Phantom proves to be a tough adversary, leading him on a chase to the sea. At the sea, they engage in a dangerous game of hot potato with a grenade until it detonates, leaving only Zohan's beach shorts behind. Phantom presents the shorts to his followers as evidence of his victory over the renowned Israeli counter-terrorist, but in reality, Zohan is merely feigning his death to retire, hiding beneath the water's surface. After retrieving a bag he had previously hidden with a bird, Zohan sneaks onto a New York-bound plane, sharing a pet crate with 2 dogs, Scrappy and Coco, who keep their distance until he gives himself a more contemporary haircut. By the time the plane lands in the USA, Zohan has also given the dogs new haircuts and manages to slip away unnoticed. To begin his new life in Manhattan, his first stop is the renowned Paul Mitchell's salon, where he introduces himself as Scrappy Coco, inspired by his canine travel companions, and asks for a job as a stylist, only to be laughed at and dismissed due to his lack of experience and eccentric demeanor. As he roams the city, Zohan observes a young Jewish man named Michael being harassed by a driver who nearly hit his bicycle. Zohan springs into action, defending Michael from the bully and earning his gratitude. However, this triumphant moment takes a bitter turn when Zohan spots Salim, a Palestinian man he met years ago, driving a cab. Fearing recognition, Zohan scoops up Michael to hide his face and makes a swift exit to Michael's home. This is how Zohan meets Gail, Michael's mother, and pretends to be Australian to win her over. The ruse works, and Gail allows him to stay in the upstairs apartment. Later, Michael stumbles upon Zohan and Gail in an intimate moment, which is quite shocking, so Zohan tries to make it up to him by taking him out to meet girls. At the club, Zohan advises Michael to be open-minded, emphasizing that all women have something special regardless of their age or appearance. Meanwhile, Zohan is recognized by Ori, a fellow Israeli immigrant, as a big fan. Ori promises to keep Zohan's secret and even offers him a job at his electronics shop, giving him his business card. The next day, Zohan resumes his job hunt, but the local salons reject him due to his lack of experience and his tendency to scare the children. Realizing this might take longer than expected, Zohan visits Ori in a part of lower Manhattan populated by other Middle Eastern immigrants. He hopes to secure a temporary position at the electronics shop, but Ori declines, explaining that the shop is a dream killer. Ori explains that his other employees also had ambitions when they first arrived, but are now stuck here, not wanting the same fate for Zohan. He suggests a small salon on the Palestinian side of the street. Initially, Zohan is reluctant to work for a Palestinian business, but Ori changes his mind by showing him what Phantom has been up to. Phantom, riding on his newfound fame, has started a restaurant chain called Phantom Muckintudgeon, complete with kids' meals featuring toys of himself and an exploding Zohan. Angered that his nemesis can live his dream while he can't, Zohan sets his concerns aside and crosses the street to meet Dahlia, the struggling salon owner. Dahlia is unimpressed by Zohan's lack of experience, but she allows him to sweep the salon a few times a week for free to gain some practice. Zohan continues to live in Michael's building, honing his styling skills on Gail in his spare time, and dedicating himself to his work at Dahlia's salon. In fact, Zohan's meticulous cleaning sometimes hinders the work of other stylists like Claude. To expedite his learning and keep him from being a nuisance, Claude starts giving Zohan extra lessons after hours. Since he's not earning from this, Zohan takes up a part-time job as a driver, despite his wild driving skills. One afternoon, when one of Dahlia's stylists resigns, Zohan steps up to fill the vacancy. Dahlia is skeptical, but the clients are open to it, allowing Zohan to live his dream. His haircuts may be a bit old-fashioned, But the middle-aged women clients don't mind as he treats them like royalty, flirting, dancing, offering almost inappropriate head massages, and inviting them to the back room for a private session after their haircut. Soon, every woman in town is flocking to Dahlia's salon for a Zohan haircut, bringing in a lot of money and helping Dahlia keep up with the increasing rent. Zohan's success is so immense that he even receives a job offer from Paul Mitchell himself, but Zohan remains loyal to Dahlia and Claude, who starts receiving tips on how to treat the ladies as a thank you for his lessons. One day, two new clients arrive at the salon in Salim's cab, revealing Zohan's presence to the driver. Salim remembers Zohan clearly from his time in Palestine. Salim had thrown a shoe and spat at him, so Zohan took Salim's beloved goat as retribution. Furious and seeking revenge, Salim calls his friends Hamdi and Nasi to devise a plan to capture Zohan and gain popularity like Phantom. Meanwhile, Zohan and Dahlia enjoy a picnic together. Although Dahlia makes it clear that it's not a date, they bond over their shared immigrant experiences. And Zohan is moved to hear someone else express disdain for the endless hatred and fighting between the two sides. Upon their return to the salon, Nasi shows up pretending to be a client and drops hints about goats and shoe throwing to gather information, but Zohan is clueless. By the time Nasi returns to Salim, he is as smitten with Zohan as all the ladies. Speaking of the ladies, Zohan discovers that his body is not cooperating and he can no longer offer private sessions. A doctor's visit provides no answers, but sharing his concerns with Gail does. She immediately realizes that this has been happening since Zohan's picnic with Dahlia, which means he's falling in love with her and his body will only respond to her. Meanwhile, Salim and his friends are trying to procure some bombs, but the supplier isn't answering the phone. They opt to use an online recipe and head to the local pharmacy to buy liquid nitrogen, but due to their accent, the clerk misinterprets and hands them a tube of Neosporin. Meanwhile, at the salon, Dahlia pays off the collectors, asserting her determination to keep her shop open despite their attempts to drive out the locals. Zohan overhears this and is so moved that his body reacts to her, confirming she is the one, but sadly, Dahlia doesn't reciprocate his feelings. In the evening, Salim and his friends drive by and hurl their cream bomb at the salon, thinking they've achieved something great. But Zohan simply takes it home for Gail to use for her aches. However, Ori is concerned that someone might discover Zohan's true identity and advises him to take Michael's community watch shift to gather information. That night, Zohan encounters three thugs vandalizing local shops with graffiti and, instead of calling the police as per the community watch rules, Zohan handles them himself. The next day, it's revealed that those three men were sent by Grant, the landlord who wants to clear out the shops in Lower Manhattan to build a mall. Frustrated with his collector's inability to intimidate the locals, Grant decides to hire a group of white supremacists led by James, who is more than willing to play dirty. In the neighborhood, Palestinian and Israeli groups are pointing fingers at each other for the graffiti. Zohan clarifies that he saw the culprits were white guys, but even this revelation isn't enough to quell the group's animosity. Meanwhile, Salim and his friends finally admit they can't handle this alone and call Phantom for help, who agrees to come over after offering Salim a rather pitiful reward, and immediately starts training. A few days later, a cryptic message in the newspaper's rumor column suggests that Phantom is coming for Zohan, not wanting to risk his new life. Zohan confesses his true identity to Michael and Gail, who are understanding and advise him to be honest with Dahlia as well. However, Dahlia isn't as accepting. She doesn't mind that Zohan is Israeli, but his counter-terrorist background is a deal-breaker due to her family-related reasons. Before Zohan leaves, Dahlia gives him an updated hairstyle book as a farewell present. The following day, Zohan prepares to confront Phantom, claiming he can handle it alone, but just in case, Ori still calls his friends to get their weapons ready. The grapevine suggests that he would be making an appearance at a local hacky-sack game attended by numerous celebrities, including Mariah Carey and Grant, who had generously distributed free tickets. In fact, Phantom is a huge Mariah fan and seizes the opportunity during halftime to visit her in her dressing room, providing Zohan with a private opportunity to strike. Zohan and Phantom engage in a tense dance, each waiting for the other to make the first move. But their standoff is interrupted by a call from Michael, who informs Zohan about a group of thugs setting fires in various Middle Eastern shops, prioritizing the safety of his people over old rivalries. Zohan leaves Phantom for the time being and returns to his neighborhood, where another dispute between Palestinians and Israelis has erupted, as they blame each other for these attacks. Salim, Hamdi, Nasi, Ori, and their friends join the argument. But when Phantom also arrives, he decides to play the hero that attempts to extinguish the fire single-handedly, realizing this isn't a one-man job. Zohan sets aside their differences and assists Phantom in putting out the fire using a hummus hose. Afterwards, he explains that he no longer wishes to fight and remains calm even when Phantom tries to provoke him with multiple hits. Phantom is puzzled by Zohan's calm demeanor, and his questioning is interrupted by Dahlia, who reveals herself to be Phantom's sister and the reason she couldn't be with Zohan. She explains that Zohan has evolved into a better man, who understands that in the USA, they need to work together instead of fighting. And this is why she has also changed her mind and loves him for it. Dahlia's heartfelt speech unites both groups. But Salim remains upset about his goat until Zohan apologizes and assures him that he treated the animal like family. The reconciliation is abruptly interrupted by the thugs, who are still starting fires. So Zohan uses his special army goggles to gather some intel and discovers that those thugs are James and his men in disguise. It turns out that Grant had organized the hacky sack game intentionally to clear the streets, giving James the opportunity to work and make it appear as if the Palestinians and Israelis had been attacking each other. Phantom wants to confront them alone, fueled by his frustration that unlike Zohan, he never got to escape and fulfill his own dream of selling shoes. Zohan shows his support and understanding, earning Phantom's friendship and his approval of the idea of them fighting together. With their powers combined, it's incredibly easy for them to defeat their enemies, but there's one man left, James, who has a bomb and a cage full of puppies, with no time to disarm him manually. Zohan and Phantom resort to chanting jihadi songs that their people haven't sung together in ages, causing the manhole beneath James to explode and propel him away from the bomb. It also sends the puppies flying through an apartment window, where they land safely on a couch. At that moment, Grant arrives to assess the progress of his plan, but is promptly arrested by the police, who are also present. Zohan is ready to celebrate but encounters a minor issue. Phantom is unable to stop his screaming in time, and ends up causing additional damage to the stores. Fortunately, now that the Israelis and Palestinians are united, they can collaborate and rebuild the block into a collectively owned mall, where everyone can retain their shops. Phantom finally fulfills his dream of selling shoes. Salim starts a goat ride business. Ori relocates his electronics store there. And after tying the knot, Zohan and Dahlia open their salon there as well. Michael is their employee, and he styles hair using the flirting techniques he's learned from Zohan. One afternoon, Zohan is taken aback to find his parents visiting the salon. Even more surprisingly, they approve of his business and his Palestinian wife, and they offer him the opportunity to cut their hair as a sign of their support.